Yeah. Okay. I'm just getting this coffee ready. Getting this coffee ready. Last place we left off is on Inferno. And the last sort of point we left off on was an introduction to Soulcalibur. And this is the second half of the introduction. And so what we gotta do is we gotta get through Inferno. Now, here's the thing about Inferno. In order to beat Inferno, you have to basically have some type of defense against this character's attacks. And unlike other characters where you can kind of like wing it, with Inferno you can't. Because you can't, the character doesn't have any like physical limbs and stuff like that. All you really see is a sword, you know? So you really have to look at the character and sort of memorize the strings of attacks with the defense in order to really have a chance. Because if you don't, what will happen is Inferno will get like a couple of combos off, and then before you know it, it'll be the end of the round. The character is made really cheap like that. Ah. So it is what it is. But yeah, this is basically an introduction to how to play Soulcalibur. I've kind of like seen a lot of how to plays, and there are a lot of how to plays, and they teach you like how to like actually play like from like a video game perspective, but they don't actually teach you like like how to actually play. Like, for example, I can teach you how to play a role playing game, and they typically do in the introduction, but how you actually play it is different. Like, how you actually play it is more so like a walkthrough. So I realize now to an extent this is like a walkthrough, but see, when it comes to like fighting games, I don't know. This is kind of a player guide. That's a real good way to put it. This is a player guide in Soulcalibur. And what's really good about this guide is like, I don't, some people value guides, some people don't. But when it comes to fighting, guides go a long way when it really comes to fighting, because what a guide is a guide will be able to map out how you can kind of like get how you can like get through different stages of fighting and different stages of being able to master fighting. Without a guide, most people would never be able to master fighting. just because they would have to go through all the trial and error at their own whatever, maybe at their, you could call it their own expense. Maybe that's the way you could put it. But really, what it is they never really are able to achieve mastering because they don't know where to go. They don't have any sense of direction, and so it's like they a lot of times, especially if they're like gamers, depending on how they develop throughout their stages, they're only able to be so you're only able to be so to do something so well before you start running into dilemmas of like energy. How do you get the energy to do things? How do you get the strength to really get through things? And these are all different stages. Now, some people derive the strength and the energy by like establishing a casino relationship with fighting games, where they basically, go in and their objective is to win. So, the more they win, the more that they feel, the more that they get the satisfaction from the game. And other people, find games as a way to establish, different personal things. For this reason, how to plays, like how to play characters and stuff like that, generic how to plays, for the most part, are what pretty much dominate most people, or not even, I don't even say dominate, or basically the depth of basically like these things. Typically they just basically teach you like basic strategy, and then like how to do things. Like they'll like teach you like inputs, they'll teach you typical strategies, and that's cool and everything, and that's good when it comes to like learning how to play. But there's so much more to the game other than that, as cliche as that sounds. And that's where the how to part comes in, really. You could become a master, but how do you become a master? you know Now, the way that this is kind of done throughout time is and just throughout history is typically you will have masters, and so masters teach. At dojos, masters teach. So the same thing is done in all forms of fighting disciplines. And in fighting games, this is taught through in Soulcalibur. This is taught through Edge Master. So what Edge Master does is he takes these fighters, these heroes, and basically refines them to where they can become to where they can become like to where that they can develop past master. Like he basically brings them up to like master class. So like when they're at first, they're like, they may be like talented, they may be good, they have a lot of will, they have a lot of reasoning, they have a lot of strength. Typically they're really good at Eye of the Tiger. For the most part, they're all good at Eye of the Tiger. This can be applied to every character in Soulcalibur. And then through Edge Master, these characters are able to be this way, but then they're able to dominate. Most people do not have Edge Masters. Most people are some degree of self-taught. It is what it is. And so as a consequence of this, they don't have the right guidance. They don't have any guidance. They don't have the proper, they don't have a guide. So they can become Mitsurugis and Astrovs, and they can become all these things, but without Edge Master, they can never become sword fighting masters. And you know, to each its own. If you're a jabroni, then you probably don't care to be a master. And one thing I was thinking about in the past stream like this is what I would describe it as. And one thing that came to mind that I've never really even considered for longer than any other thing is classic. You know, it's like, it seems as though I was teetering around classic. It's not that. Right now, the only way I can describe it really is like pure, pure fighting or whatever it is. But truly speaking, like only like masters know about like these type of things, and through mastership they apply them to people that they pass by, people that they train, people that they see as predecessors. Maybe for whatever reason they may want to influence things, so they'll sit there and they'll help one player really succeed. So this is basically what masters do. Now in Soulcalibur, this is like a game, and so you can start at any stage of this process. In life, it could be done the same way. It's done the same way in life. So this is like true fighting, and it's applied to Soulcalibur. Now this is done because this is a 3D fighter. More so one for one. Though I can't entirely draw lines. So I don't want to dwell on I could dwell on the relationship between real fighting and playing Soulcalibur, and that's something that I'm kind of coming to terms with, and I'm pretty sure that as this series advances, it's something that can be reflected on. I think that's something that you're able to reflect on more so when you know what, I'm not even, like I said, I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But basically this is Soulcalibur, and so if I give you a master understanding of Soulcalibur, one, what it does for me is it helps me actually just document this stuff, and what it does is it enables me to like learn it a lot faster. So I just it fortifies me faster and stuff like that, so I'm able to get better at the game faster. There's that. But then too, what it does is it gives back to the player base, to a lot of the different individual people that are like fighters and stuff like that. Because if this type of information isn't passed down, then basically what happens is everybody is just trash. And the reason being is because nobody really knows how to fight. You can sit here and say like, oh yeah, I know how to fight because you win or whatever, but like the truth about fighting is that only a person that has seen somebody fight before, only it knows how to fight. Now you may say, oh yeah, I see somebody fight on TV before. Did you? You know, a lot of times people can win fights and not actually know how to fight. Like, just to put a long story short, it's believed, which I think is kind of funny when you think about it, that Custom Model had to sell his soul in order to learn how to train Mike Tyson. That's in order for Custom Model to learn how to fight. It is believed that he had to sell his soul. Now, the reason why this is funny is because Custom Model lived a really full life, and you know, to think that he had sold his soul and also lived such a full life, I don't know. Maybe that's why they thought he sold his soul, because his life was so full. I don't know. But if for any reason they can make that assessment and not be considered to be, you know, left with it, is at the understanding of one, just how tremendously skilled and effective Mike Tyson was, but then also just how difficult it is to actually fight. So when you really understand this, then you will really never have any sort of questioning about a lot of variables in fighting. Like, for example, who the best fighter of all time was. This is something that that can be discussed. However, this is something that doesn't need to be discussed. However, when you understand these things and you can relate to other people that do understand these things, at this point you are dealing with people that have some master level of understanding, whether it was passed down to them or they were just, you know, endowed with it. But that's just basically how sacred this information is. Now, it can be either passed down to you, it can be endowed to you, or it can be learned through experience. The thing about the experience part is most people do not have that experience. And so it's just that experience that a lot of people kind of like, because the thing about it is once a fighter becomes a fighter, there's nothing like it. But once a fighter becomes a fighter, it's a different thing. You know what I mean? Like, the fighter actually goes through the process and learns from experience. The thing about it is, your experience may not lead you to the point of becoming a master, or even being able to play at that master level, or even being able to surpass master. I see a lot of times when fighters don't have any sort of guidance, they just look at being a master as like, okay, cool, one day I may be a master. When they have guidance, they can become a master and then actually go further. Most of the time, fighters nowadays, when they be like, oh yeah, I'm a master, they are a master liars. They some master fakers. They say they are masters, but if they got in the ring with somebody that says they're a master, they're gonna lose. And then, you know, what are they gonna say? What's their reasoning gonna be? Something that a master would never say. It just is what it is. So anyways, I don't want to ramble too much because I feel my self drifting on a little bit. Right now we're at Inferno. And this is how to play Soulcalibur. And this is the second part of the introduction. So right now I'm just drinking coffee because it's really early in the morning. Right now it's 5:28 in the morning. So why is it 5:28 in the morning? Here's the thing about fighting and fighting games is that you got to do a lot of learning, and when you need to learn a lot very fast, the best time to do it is really early in the morning. So when you're like playing these games and like you first start playing them and like you're very weak at them, what you want to put yourself on a super healthy, accelerated path. And the easiest way to do that is to take advantage of everything like that you possibly can. And one of the best things to take advantage of is like early morning. So like when you're out and your objective is to learn something, one of the best times to learn anything is like super early in the morning. Now, some people say like, oh, I'm a nighttime person or whatever, and that very may well be the case. The thing about it is that early in the morning you have the least distractions. So, whenever you're like really just objective, like in the early stages, because the early objectives really is just to learn and to really get through the computer. The best time to play is early in the morning. Even if you want to like really like fight or something like that, it's just your mind is just really strong at taking in information really early in the morning. You're very receptive and stuff like that. Also, you don't have any energy limitation. So, for example, if you take on the task later on in the afternoon, then you just have much less meter to deal with because you could end up going to sleep for like 5 hours, something like that. So you don't have any sleep exhaustion. And then what else is it about the morning? You can drink coffee, so you can really like turbocharge yourself. And it's just the best time to learn. I'm thinking of other examples, but it's just the best time to learn. And it's cool because at this time, your gameplay isn't even really there. See, here's the thing: the best time to play against opponents is during like rush hours. The problem with this is rush hours are just kind of draining. I'll be honest. Like, what are some rush hours? A rush hour is like Sunday afternoon. A rush hour is Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. A rush hour is like, you could say 5 o'clock, but yeah, like around 5 o'clock. It's just whenever you're at time frames where it's conceived that more people are going to be more people have free time, those times are going to be rush hours. So if it's conceived that, like, on Saturday, um, more people are going to be playing because they're not going to have to go to work or something like that, then that's basically what it is. Now, a lot of times that is what it is because when you're playing video games, you have like a lot of different students and stuff like that. So these will be times when they're not in school. So you have that variable, but then also you have 9 to 5ers. You have that. So you have time frames. Just whenever things are the easiest for like the average person, then more than likely they're going to be on, and at those points those are considerably rush hours. However, being on at those times is draining. Saturday night, you over here pressing these fools out. Sunday afternoon, you over here, like CompuFaxing these fools, like, so it's just the best time to like play if you have anything to do with it is in the morning. And it's wild because I remember when I was first introduced to it, it kind of blew my mind. It was like there was this like there was this dude. He was playing Tekken before he went to school. I'm like, how do you play Tekken before you were to go to school? Like who's really like up like before even? I could never imagine playing Tekken before like having to do something like catch a bus or something like that. However, when you it's extraordinary to do something like that, and then it's almost like once you do it once you do it you kind of realize that it's like it forces you to turn to use like every faculty of your mind almost. So it's like for you to like get through it effectively and like cognizantly, it just basically just like turns your mind on. So it's like when you first wake up in the morning, this is also a good exercise regardless of whatever it is you do. You want to do something that's just gonna like exercise your mind if that's what you're gonna do. Like for example, if you're gonna like train, you want to train your mind like early in the morning. And it's wild because I'm thinking for a second, I think I almost lost track of train of thought. But yeah, even when I think of trying to play Soulcalibur before like having to go to school, it's kind of like I don't know. In the morning, just to be like playing, like it's all I don't know. It's kind of it seems to be mentally draining. The thing about it is this. It's just I don't know. It seems out of this world. However, trust me, earlier in the morning is better. Case in point, if I could have gone to school from like 4 o'clock in the morning until like until like 10:30 in the morning, then I would have never thought to myself like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and skip school. Like now you could think of it that way if you were to be like, oh, let me go sleep, let me just sleep and wake up at 10 o'clock, but that's sloppy. At that point, from those hours, those are like learning hours. Those are hours where the best thing to do is to learn. You can meditate, you can exercise. You can take in information in the morning. So it's just like when you are fighting, this is like even more important because it's like you could be a tough person or whatever, but you guys like we got places to go. We don't have time to be sitting around like these jabronis, around the campfire going, nowhere fast. It just is what it is. Like I said, these people are Piccolos, these people are Krillins. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. You may think to yourself the grass is greener and whatnot, and if you find that it is, then but for the fighters, for the people that like really that are into fighting, this comes into play when you consider Eye of the Tiger. Now you could sit there, Eye of the Tiger, all day, dig deep, you know, power up. And if that works for you, then hey, you'll be like them. You'll be like the Mitsurugis or whatever. But if you want to be able to just get to the point where, you know, you break that down, you want to get to the point where you shut that down, then you're going to have to take in information. And you're gonna have to take it. You're gonna have to take that. You're gonna have to learn faster. You're gonna have to know more, so you don't have to rely so much on will and might. And then so yeah, from a fighting perspective, you're like, oh yeah, you want to do this like a master. It's like, yeah, you have to do it. You just gotta have this understanding. Now, the reality of the matter is this: this can seem to be like the grand dioso, but what's going on? I don't know. You may feel like the grass is greener over there, in Jabroni country. Pastures seem to be cool. If you are a fighter, you could go over there, check it out, and then you'll just be like, you'll know. Like I'd rather just fight. So yesterday I was talking about just to touch base on the jabroni thing. Yesterday I was talking about how when you make the decision that you don't care if you grab people, you don't care if you hit them on you don't care if you hit them low, and you don't care if you hit them on the ground. That at that moment, that's when jabronis that's when you decide to be a fighter, and you will always be at war with jabronis. You could go over there and think that I'm joking. You're gonna find out that's true. And one thing I realized that I left out that I really should have said in the case of Soulcalibur is no ring outs. So in Tekken it's like no hitting on the ground, but in Soulcalibur it's also no ring outs. They'll be like, oh, no ring outs. You hit me out of the ring. No. Why is this? Because this is what happens when you beat them. This is the things that they complain about. Oh, the only reason why you beat me is because you wrung me out of the ring. Oh, the only reason why you beat me is because you hit me with a low. Oh, the only reason why you beat me is because you grabbed me. Oh, the only reason why yeah, that's exactly why I beat you every single time. Because guess what? I don't care about none of that. You over here playing tic-tac-toe with these fools, and let me tell you something. All they are doing is complaining about losing. Now you could think that the grass is greener if you want. I mean, I don't know. Some people like are really like gamers and stuff like that. But right now, so and so in the background, we're gonna be playing against Inferno. These are like the early stages of not being a jabroni. You know. So now here's the thing about this jabroni ship. All right. Another thing about the jabroni ship is here's the thing. It's not if a person is a jabroni, it's not really that bad. It's like the thing about it is naturally you would be a jabroni. You would just be a jabroni as a kid. See, like when you're like really young, like naturally you're gonna be a jabroni anyway, cause you just don't really know nothing. So like as a kid, that's what a kid typically would do. So in the case of like a person being like a total child, then yeah, of course they're gonna be a jabroni because they can only play with other jabronis anyway. But you don't. Here's what you got to understand about these jabronis. These people will be like adults. They just don't know how to fight. So they approach fighting like a child. And see, you wouldn't know this if you don't have any real experience, or you never seen anyone that can really fight, or you never, engage someone or whatever to something like to that degree. Maybe it wasn't passed down to you or whatever. So I say all that to say that playing in the morning when it's like a time when you can like really learn and stuff like that makes a difference from the determination that you're just going to play at a master level, because at this point you don't want to be like straining and like struggling to like win and stuff like that. I'm rambling so much. But then also, not even just that. Yeah, so with that in mind, you have to be able to play really well. You got to be able to play really well. And the only way you can really play well, see, the thing about all the Eye of the Tiger and stuff like that is having Eye of the Tiger is one thing, having Eye of the Tiger and playing well and having Eye of the Tiger is another thing. Having Eye of the Tiger playing well and then knowing what's going on is like not all the same. Like that right there, like once you add those three elements, then what happens is no matter how you dice it up, those three elements will never be prevalent if they all need to be prevalent simultaneously in order for you to win. Just saying what it is. You may have two of those elements, most of the time. And the consequence of it being so complicated is one, it uses up a lot of meter. Two, you never really have the balance that you need. But then three, it's like, when you do level up and you take off, on like, with when you start using things like super senses, then you end up plateauing really low. And the reason being is because you need those three elements present. So how do you eliminate the need of all three of those elements? You eliminate the need of those three elements by thoroughly learning more. So you don't need all three of those elements in order to, achieve pinnacle gameplay. So what were the three elements? I totally forgot. But I totally forgot because, I don't even play thinking that way. I just know it exists because the first time I went through mastering the game, like if you're just to sit there and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna fight and just go down like a lone path or whatever and just figure everything out on my own. If you don't like actually, if you see being a master as like the ultimate limitation, then you wouldn't even care to conceive like um, pushing your threshold that way, because you'll think that like as long as you push your threshold that way, you can win any fight. And the truth is, like, yeah, you can't win any fight until you fight against a master. And the thing about it is, a lot of times with fighting games, a lot of people some people can achieve different levels of master understanding. Maybe they may have a master understanding of just you as a character. That happens a lot of times. The opponent has a master understanding of the character or a better understanding of the character that they play themselves, so they just lose off the strength for that. But to be able to consistently deliver a loss to someone, regardless of how they change their strategy or who they play against, that's when you really like are really like at that stage. And so when you need all three of those elements to be there in order to achieve like max power, that all those elements they all use meter. So now you're running on now you're running your meter down threefold. When at the bet like at the worst case scenario, you're using all three in order to get the win out. And then what happens when you lose? The meter is gone. You lose twice that way, your meter is gone. You can sit there and play against that person all you want. That person is going to get easy wins. And then before you know it, it'll be over because you just be like, man, I can't lose six straight. And those people, they get out of there. They're done. Now that's Eye of the Tiger. That right there, that's not how you get up to a point where you're able to comfortably win. So you gotta learn. And playing against the computer is the best way to start learning. And what it does is, at minimum, it gets you to the point where you're good at the game. So now we're on Inferno. And at this point, you'd be surprised. There will be people that you would think were like masters at playing Soulcalibur because of the way that they are managed to overcome beating you. And these people can't even beat the computer. And if and it's like not just beat the computer, but you gotta beat the computer and be able to get gold. And at this very moment, I'll be honest, I haven't gotten gold against the computer. I've put in a lot of effort to achieve gold. I have not achieved gold. I have a lot of silvers, not a lot of gold. I don't even have any medals in legendary. But when you get to the proper point, you'll have gold in all of the modes. And so when you have gold in all the modes, what it really is a testament of is it's your testament of your ability to play the game. See, I've mastered this game so many times I've mastered the game so many times. What happens like after you master the game is like when you try to approach the game again, unless you like really like confirmed like how good you were at the game by like championing something, you will really be taken back at how much of the process you have to reestablish when you don't play for a long time. So I say that to say that there was a time when I would get gold against the computer and not even try. But those are also times when I was really good at the game. So I mean, basically by playing against the computer, what it really helps you do is it helps you like measure basically where your skill level is honestly. You know, you can't hide your ego against the computer. You can't hide your ego against the net code. Because if you're not able to beat the computer, then you're just not that good. If you're not able to get medals against the computer, then you're just not that good. You're not that good. And like I said, everyone is trash nowadays. But the best place to start learning is against the computer. And when do you use a computer? You use a computer in the early stages, whether it be when learning a character or you use a computer in the early stages when you're not effective at winning at all. If you're not effective at winning at all, your first challenge, the first thing you have to be able to overcome is the computer. The core of the game. You have to actually be good at the core game. And it goes a long way because you can be a very good jabroni and not be able to, like I said, a lot of these people cannot beat the computer because they're not good at the game. So this is the first thing you're going to get out of the way. And the computer is a good measuring point. Another thing good about the computer is what the computer does nowadays is the computer replaces what people were like in the golden era. So in the golden era, like people would play and they would lose and they wouldn't mind losing because they knew that they really liked to fight, and there were more like real fighters and more people that really understood fighting. So more people were all supportive of the greater picture, to where a person is okay losing because they know that one day they can get stronger and then actually maybe one day win and they can get a chance to experience the glory, so they enjoyed being a part of the fight. Nowadays, because a person can't really accept a loss, a lot of this has to do with the fact of how much glory the person can achieve over time. Because you don't get that experience anymore, a player will lose, you'll never play against them again, and you have to start over from scratch when you play against another person in real life. This is where the computer comes into play. This is where playing against the computer this is where playing against the computer replaces. This is the part that playing against the computer replaces. And also, like, playing against the computer kind of like also is basically the traditional way of learning the game in the early stages anyway. It's the way that you really get the best fighters because, like I said, you got to be good at the core of the game. And also, like I said yesterday, nowadays with online being the primary focus of games, the the basic player doesn't even establish game this way. The way that the games are set up now, unfortunately, is a little bit too late. It's a little too late. This the way that they're set up now is the way that they should have been more so set up years ago. Like almost 18, 20 years ago, they should have been this like internet focused. Now they're all super internet focused, but the internet age has run its course in a lot of ways due to a variety of reasons, and it's just for now where it's at, the base player is very low. So you're not gonna get the player base of like good old times, as well as the fact of the game no longer has a spike. So when a game is new, it'll have like a new player spike, and at those instances, you may have a chance of really like whatever. It's just you would have to really excel. So with all that said and all that rambling, now what it's done is just look at the computer as basically the good old times of the people that you used to be able to play that weren't really that good, but they didn't mind losing. That's what the computer replaces. And so, you get through it. Except, yeah, you get through it. Playing against the computer, the last thing about this before this gets started, because I'm done drinking this coffee, is playing against the computer. Playing against the computer wow. Playing against the computer. I was going to mention something about playing against the computer. Playing against the computer is like the fastest teacher. They don't mind losing, and it replaces like the average player. It's a measurable result, and that's really where it's most useful. So you can just get like a good basic foundation in the game, and this is the first thing you want to do. But anyways, I still can't really remember exactly what I wanted to mention with that. But basically, we're basically at the point where we're at Inferno, and Inferno is like a milestone when it comes to computer because at this point you realize that you have to memorize a series of attacks in order to play Soulcalibur. So this is going to be like if a series of attack is high, low, mid, then you have to know the point in which the series of attack is a high, and you have to be able to counter it. Now I not typically when it comes to counter information, I'm not really like too fond of it because the problem with countering in video games and the way that countering is typically executed in video games is most players, when they get counters, they're just constantly attacking. That's like their counters. But these are like real counters, in that these counters are airtight and they're intentional. So beating Inferno is you have to be able to do that, because if you're not able to do that, then you won't have any opportunities to do it, because you'll be dealing with these super high damage combos. So at this point, you just gotta get through this full. And then once you can do this, this will give you a chance to be able to gold medal legendary, because that's basically the point that you want to really get to with the computer, to where you can play the computer on the maximum difficulty and then just really play your characters against the computer at that level, because this way you can learn characters really fast and you could just use the computer as a real tool. So this is the first milestone right here with Soulcalibur's Inferno.
When souls collide, chaos erupts.
I really...
Battle 1. Fight!
So you see that damage? One juggle.
Victory will not come easily.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm just like working my Wild Rising 2 combo, because I know I'm gonna have to duck, and I gotta figure out. All right. I just need to have good, reliable damage from a duck. All right. So I got that covered.
Victory goes to the last one standing.
Now I'm gonna need a good counter, which I'm gonna use down forward 3 or down forward K. Alright, there we go.
The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen who fought so bravely. When souls collide, chaos erupts.
So far, so good.
I really...
Battle 1. Fight! Victory goes to the last one standing. Battle 2. Fight!
So he really has advantage off of explosion.
Battle 3. Fight!
The second hit of that is high.
I really hate this kind of thing.
Battle 1. Fight! Battle 2. Fight!
You're mine. Got
Battle 3. Fight!
See, and that's why I tried to get that combo in order,
Show respect for
early.
the fallen who fought so bravely.
but it's cool.
When souls collide. Battle 1. Fight! Victory goes to the last one standing. Battle 2. Fight!
Lend me your strength. Got
Victory will. Battle 3. Fight!
Give up. What?
Battle 4. Fight! one, fight! Battle 2, fight! Victory will not come easily. It must be seized. Battle 3, fight!
Inferno's a good introduction to Soulcalibur.
I really hate this kind of thing.
Battle 1, fight! Victory will not. Battle 2, fight! Victory goes to Battle 3, fight!
Yo, this man has so much priorities. This fuck is going on? Yo, this man. It's cool though, I got something for that. Taking this man all his priorities.
Battle 1, fight!
See? That's that while rising. Oh man.
2, fight!
There we go. Okay, so that's not actually comboing. I thought I covered that. See? So basically, while rising needs to be confirmed. That's just what it is. It just needs to be confirmed.
Battle 3, fight!
What?
Claim victory and battle. bask in the glory.
That's the problem with Inferno. You know, and it's funny because I said he doesn't have any hands, but I'm sitting there thinking that this character from Soulcalibur too.
When souls collide, chaos erupts. Battle 1. Fight!
Look at this. Wow. Like, look how hopeless they pushed in the situation. Like, you just be so hopeless. You just be so hopeless off that. It's cool though.
Stand. Fight to the
That's what I
last
mean. Like, you gotta memorize what Inferno is doing, man, because this
Battle 2. Fight!
wow.
Stand. Battle 3. Fight!
So yeah. Oh, damn it.
Claim victory and bask in the glory.
So yeah, you gotta be airtight against Inferno also. But the drawback to Inferno is that
when souls collide, chaos erupts.
the character needs to be dominant in order to win.
I really hate this kind of thing.
Battle 1. Fight!
Yo. See what I'm saying? Off of just
Victory will not come
off of just
easily.
2 regular
It must be
decisions. Here I
seized.
am.
Battle 2. Fight!
What? What? Yo. What the fuck is going on? Yo. That's crazy.
Battle 3. Fight!
No. Oh my goodness.
The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen who fought so bravely.
Oh my goodness. See, this is the problem. So yeah, you know, you gotta play early in the morning to get through this.
When souls collide,
And the first
I
time getting through it
really
is the
hate this
hardest.
kind
And
of
I, to be honest, man, I can't even.
Battle
I don't even want
1.
to say that.
Fight! Battle 2. Fight!
Get the fuck out of here, kid.
Victory goes to the last one. Battle 3. Fight!
I'll show you.
What? This is what I'm talking about.
Play.
So yeah, we gotta get through this pool, man. 'Cause, you know. Oh man.
When souls collide, chaos erupts.
I really hate this kind of
Battle 1. Fight! Battle 2. Fight!
What is going on? Dang.
Battle 3. Fight!
Dang, they really gave this man a guard break. Yo.
The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen who fought so bravely.
They gave this man a whole guard break. Yeah, they gave this man a guard break.
When souls collide, chaos erupts.
I really
Battle 1. Fight!
Yo, get out of here with this. Yo, this man had a double explosion. Like, what is going on?
Battle 2. Fight!
Oh my goodness.
Battle 3. Fight!
Yo.
The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen who fought so bravely.
Yo, one of the best features really is the replay. Because I'll be honest, a lot of this stuff, it really helps to like see, because sometimes like the way people finish rounds, they try to use secret techniques.
When souls collide. Battle 1. Fight!
the fuck out of here. See, look at this. Look at this. Didn't they hit me with a straight 2 minutes?
Victory goes to the last one standing. Battle
Hold on, man.
fight!
Oh. Still gonna lose. You're still gonna lose. This is going on.
Bring up! Battle 3, fight!
What the fuck is going on? See what I'm saying?
Victory goes to the last one standing. Battle 4, fight! Final battle, fight! Claim victory and bask in the glory.
This man really has an extension of nothing.
Battle 1, fight! Battle 2, fight! KO! Battle 3, fight!
Oh man.
Claim victory and bask in the glory. Battle 1, fight!
Basically, what happened with that was because the screen shifted so fast, the input I put in was
Victory goes to
backwards.
the last one standing. Battle 2, fight! battle is over, show respect.
Yeah, see, everything needs to be done in a split second against Inferno, and this is kind of really the
When
benefit of
souls
playing a
collide,
character like this.
chaos erupts. Battle 1. Fight! Stand. Fight to your last breath. Battle 2. Fight!
Am I even using these right? Well, I won.
Victory goes to the battle 3. Fight! Battle 4. Fight! Ring out! Final battle. Fight!
Alright, whatever. The thing about this character is, this is why you have to memorize a lot of stuff, because it's like, at what point is the character not really at some type of advantage? Because if you don't know, then your windows are so, you have to know
When
every
souls
window.
collide, chaos. Battle 1. Fight! Ring out! Battle 2. Fight!
Wow.
Battle 3. Fight!
I'll show you. Chew on this. The price of integrity. Did I overdo it? Enough. Oh, yeah.
No. Wow, yeah, you better do that. Wow. Hey.
Battle
That's just so lame. And it's so funny because I literally saw it happen. Wow.
Claim victory and bask in the glory.
Just 1 second off.
When Battle 1. Fight!
All right.
Battle 2. Fight! Ring out! Battle 3. Fight!
Lend me your strength.
Step Battle 4. Fight!
What? Wow, that load just didn't work, huh?
Stand. Fight to your last breath. Final battle. Fight!
I'll show you the price of integrity. As planned. Incoming.
And see, that right there was my fault because the juggle should have been
Battle is
answered
over.
right.
Show respect
See?
for the fallen you
That's
fought
the
so
problem.
bravely. Battle 1. Fight!
What? Yeah, you know what time it is.
Stand. Battle 2. Fight!
Yo, they would give him a whole guard break for that. They would.
Victory goes to battle 3. Fight! Stand. Fight to your battle 4. Fight!
Hephaestus, lend me your strength.
Look at the. Dang.
The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen who fought so bravely.
Let's go.
Battle 1. Fight! Battle 2. Fight!
Payback. Good luck.
Right.
Stand. Fight to your last breath.
Wow, so I guess I just didn't block that, huh?
Battle
Yeah,
3.
right.
Fight!
That's some crap. But this all this shit explode and stuff. This stuff is just it's just a lot, man.
Show respect
It's
for the
fun
fallen
to stay
who fought so
explode
bravely.
on somebody. Like fuck out of here.
When souls collide, chaos. Battle 1. Fight! Battle 2. Fight!
That would be the mid.
The battle is over. Battle 1. Fight!
Goodness, these are supposed to be taking so long. Like, my goodness.
Battle 2. Fight!
So freaking long as a night.
Fight!
Oh my goodness.
The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen who fought so bravely.
So yeah, now and then also you gotta look at situations and like how binding they are too, because
When souls collide,
you'll
chaos
realize
erupts.
how binding some of this stuff is
Battle 1.
when everything needs to be airtight. What in the world is that? Dude, this is what I'm talking about. Like, look at this. What is this? Like that'll be the move.
Battle 2. Fight!
Wow.
Battle 3. Fight!
Yeah! You're mine! What?
Oh my goodness.
Claim victory. Battle 1. Fight!
What and what and how? What and how? What and how is what I'm trying to figure out. Because all I did was just tear this man up from the moment the round started.
Battle
All I did.
Fight! KO! Battle 3.
I'm glad he did that, so now he has no meter going to the next round. Wow.
Claim victory and back. Battle 1. Fight! Battle 2. Fight! Battle 3. Fight! KO! Claim victory. Battle 1. Fight! Battle 2. Fight!
Come on with this.
Ring out!
It's just like, my goodness.
Stand. Battle 3. Fight!
What?
Ring out!
See, that's the problem with perfect block, because there'll be times when you're like, okay, let me go ahead and launch this. This fool will be perfectly blocked.
When soul. Battle 1. Fight!
It's just like, just when you forget about that series of attacks, this fool does it, and it's just a pain in the ass.
Battle 2. Fight!
Come on with this.
KO!
Just like, seriously, just when you forget about that series of attacks, this fool does it.
Fight!
And the problem is with it,
You're mine.
is the situation, it just, What? That man canceled the whole thing? He canceled the whole thing? He canceled the whole thing. Yo, I don't even want to laugh anymore. This is so bad. This man canceled the whole thing. He didn't even do an attack on the way down. He was like, he knew. Yo, this is the problem with Inferno, man. But it's not a laughing matter because you gotta get through this for
When souls collide, chaos
It's not a laughing
erupts.
matter.
Battle 1. Fight!
This man really just got me in your face with this stuff. Wow. Wow.
Victory goes to the last one standing. Battle.
That's what I'm saying. When do you not have frame advantage out here, man? Like, for real. All that. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck. Come on. Fuck is going on?
Victory will not come easily.
That launcher, it just takes them so far out. It's just insane because it's just it's so much work to get it. Wow, you would. There we go.
Did I overdo it? Yeah.
Wow. I thought I had gold. I was supposed to have gold.
Victory will
I didn't have any gold. Get out of here, man.
I'll show you.
That's why you always gotta take that series of attacks serious because it just leads to too much damage.
As planned.
Wow, that would be all part. This man hit me with a
The battle
fart.
is over. Show respect. for
Wow,
the
they
family
really
who fought
just,
so
yo, they
bravely.
did this man so many, this man's attack attribution is so crazy.
Battle 1. Fight!
Stop playing with me like this. This is what I'm talking about. This fool's getting weirdo counter hit damage. Like, look at this.
Victory will not come easily. It must be
And then look at
Battle
that.
2. Fight!
Give up.
Battle 3. Fight!
I'll show you. The price of integrity. As planned. Hope it works. What?
Man. Man, this man, there we go again with this double explosion bullshit.
Claim victory and bask in the glory.
The problem with the explosion moves is that they force you to block them because even if you hit while they're preparing to explode, you still have to block, and you can get guard. They could guard break you off for like
When
3 of
souls
those.
collide,
This is the
chaos
reason why,
erupts.
when it comes to Inferno, you have to memorize everything, and you just gotta get
Battle
really cool.
1. Fight!
But see, the thing about this is this.
Battle 2. Fight!
I'll show you the guts of integrity. As planned.
KO! Battle 3. Fight! KO! Battle 4. Fight!
I'll show you the guts of integrity. As planned.
KO! Final battle. Fight!
I'll show you. Chew on this. The guts of integrity. Did I overdo it? Enough. Right. Got it.
Oh my goodness, yo! Like seriously, just when you think
The
that
battle
that
is
fool is
over.
not gonna
Show
do
respect for the fallen who fought so bravely. Battle 1. Fight! Victory goes to the last one standing. Battle 2. Fight!
It doesn't make any sense.
Battle 3. Fight!
you. Chew on this. Rise up. Am I even using these right? Well, I won.
Battle 4. Fight!
Incoming.
Oh my goodness. And that's just the content. Oh my goodness. I swear, yo, you leave literally just one point.
Battle 1. Fight!
Incoming.
What happened to my explosion? Like seriously, the game exploding freaking long distance? Like what's going on?
Battle 2. Fight!
Get the fuck out of here. This is what I'm saying. How many explosions is this fool gonna have? Fuck explode that. Yo, how did he get it off of a straight block though? That's the stuff that blows my mind. This man really, they really give him these attacks.
Battle 3. Fight!
Man, get the fuck out of here.
I'll show you.
Stop exploding all the damn time. That's all this fool does is just sit there and explode.
As planned.
Get the fuck out of here. He's playing with this fool. Look at this fool with the electric spark, all this stuff. Look at
Victory
this.
goes. Battle 4.
This man muscling through everything. Get the fuck out of here.
Hephaestus, lend me your strength.
Man, get out of here with this, man. This man sat there and just this man really buffed this out. As soon as you transform, attack just straight across the screen. They got this man buffing stuff out of animation. Like, stop.
When souls collide,
This is not
chaos
funny.
erupts.
You just want to get through this.
Battle 1. Fight!
Oh my god, this man just blew sparks off of a regular overhead.
Battle 2. Fight!
Okay. Well, then this man wants to go and explode again. Just an explode ass palm. That's all he does is freaking explode.
Battle 3. Fight!
Oh man.
Battle 1. Fight!
Come on.
Battle 2. Fight!
Oh.
Battle 3. Fight!
What?
KO! Battle 4. Fight!
Come on.
Augustus, lend me your strength.
Wow. And see, you would have thought that transformation was excessive. Nah, you gotta get this fool out of here.
Battle 1. Fight! KO! Battle 2. Fight! Battle 3. Fight! KO! Claim victory and bask in the glory. Battle 1. Fight!
Oh. Wow. See, this is the thing about that. Oh my.
KO!
Oh gosh. Trying to counter such a thing is just like.
Fight!
Oh my goodness.
Battle 3. Fight!
What?
one, fight!
I'm more than enough.
Battle 2, fight!
What? Oh.
Battle 3, fight! Battle 4, fight!
I'll show you. Chew on this. The price of integrity. Did I overdo it? Incoming.
Fucking shit. Oh my god. So much freaking drama.
I will
Final
defeat
battle, fight!
Come the fuck on with this bullshit. Like, look at
Battle
this.
is over. Show
Like,
respect for the fallen
look
who
at
fought
that.
so bravely.
Up against the wall with this.
When souls collide, chaos erupts.
I really.
Battle 1, fight!
You're mine.
Battle 2, fight! Battle 3, fight!
Ah,
You're mine.
damn it.
Battle 4, fight!
goodness. Look at this struggle.
Battle 1. Fight! Battle 2. Fight! The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen who fought so bravely.
Now that's what I call a critical hit.
Congratulations.
Oh my goodness. Look how long it took to get to that character. Almost an hour. Almost an hour. Now here's the thing, it's really no big deal. Because being a character like Inferno, like beating any boss character the first time around is always the hardest, because the only way that you can really beat bosses is if you kind of know what's ahead. You gotta really have your windows down, and you also have to have your execution down in order to get through a boss. But the first time is the first time you get through them. Aside from that, you just have to more or less know what's coming. Like, for example, the way that the unblockable works, the way that the explosion works. It's interesting. Playing against Inferno, you have to learn the explosion defensively. You gotta sit here and shop it out with the move. Figure out if you get frame advantage. Then you gotta realize that after you block it 3 times, it does a break. And then you gotta figure out how you can interrupt it. The only thing that you can interrupt the explosion with is a launcher. Then you gotta sit here, figure out tornado. What are the hit attributes of tornado? See, if you don't know what the attributes are when this man is spinning around up there in the sky like that, then afterwards you'll sit there and you'll try to like move around, and then you get counter hit because you just don't know that you're that far away from this man. You got that. And he's given so many his attack. He's giving attack priority.
So it's like here you gotta sit here, work around attack priority, and then you also gotta work around explosions. That guard break and reestablish attack priority. Then you got to figure out, okay, well, if attacker priority is established, then what is the most devastating course of action? What is the most common course of action? And then you got to use that information to determine how you're going to defend. And then you got to figure, okay, well, how can I actually defend and then have an opening at this point? And you got to do all this off of just literally explosions. So with every character, it means something different. You know, with Cassandra, it means, you know, being able to knee and then being able to GI. With some characters, it may be easier. Some characters may be able to just launch most of the options. Maybe they'll be able to just frame them some type of way. And then also playing against Inferno, you gotta actually directly tie what you see and what you do, like it. One for one, because if the second you don't is the second that you get hit with a combo and lose everything. So in a way, he's almost like a situation where you have to perfect the computer. The thing about Soulcalibur compared to like other fighting games is, and the reason why you can get away with a lot of RPG elements is because it's just understood that it's not going to be evenly matched. It's not going to be balanced well. They have balancing mechanics in this game, and then it's like your ability to understand them is your ability in this instance to manage Inferno. Now another thing that we're going to do to learn Soulcalibur oh man, is play Soulcalibur 2. Because Soulcalibur 2, what it does is it just teaches you a lot of Soulcalibur technique in arcade mode that you can't really get playing just Soulcalibur 6 by itself. But you know, when the time comes to do that, it'll happen, because at that point I'll know how we're gonna play that and Soulcalibur 4. Because if we're gonna do this, we're really gonna do it right. We're gonna play that and we're gonna play Soulcalibur 4. By that point I really know how to go about it. But in Soulcalibur 2 especially, they have Tower of Souls in Soulcalibur 2. And by playing that, you can learn all of the core fundamental mechanics in the same sort of manner that you have to learn with Inferno. It's like against Inferno, what I've realized through getting through it this time is that Against Inferno, you have to use balancing mechanics. It's the only way you're going to be able to match that level of output. And in Soulcalibur, you have to use all of the mechanics in order to play at your strongest ability. Playing without using the mechanics is like what playing King used to be like when playing Tekken. It's like, yeah, there's a purity to it, and there's an art to it, and there's a skill to it. Same thing as could be conceived of playing Siegfried in Soulcalibur 6. You know, it's like, yeah, there's something to it, but in order to achieve maximum output, you're gonna have to use the meter, and you're gonna have to use the parry mechanics, because if for any reason, what I realize is those things exist because of certain things like what Inferno does. If you decide that you're just gonna parry Inferno, then all that's a lot of that stuff is not even intimidating. And what it does is it inadvertently, it just makes you a stronger opponent. And if you don't if you don't use those things, then you're gonna have to use just straight up attacks, which is basically like what you would do in Soulcalibur 4. Against Algo. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up by going back to the character select screen and just seeing if there's anything else I want to say about these early stages in learning Soulcalibur. In the last one of these, I went over characters and I didn't go over explaining them too well, and I realized it was one of the parts that I liked the most. So I think going over them on the way out, I think is a good way to close this, and I'll also just talk about my concept writing for Soulcalibur. I can talk about that a little bit and just, you know, in this out. Number one, right now it's 7:41 in the morning. That's basically 8 o'clock. This is why you do this in the morning. Now this is why you do this in the morning. It's 8 o'clock and it's done. And I started doing this at 4 o'clock. That's 4.5 hours of learning. That I've gone through. That's 4.5 hours of brain processing and brainstorming that I've gone through. That's 4.5 hours of a mild degree of athletics that I've gone through. Now it's 8:30. This part is good when you're going through this rapid stage of learning. This is the same thing that you do whenever you learn any character. This is how you do it in a fast period of time. Because trying to do this then later on in the afternoon is going to use a lot more meter. It just is what it is. And the only way you can afford that much meter is if you are at a high if you're at a high caliber. If you're in a high tier. And in the beginning you're just not. So it economically makes the most sense. It practically makes the most sense. And it purely makes the most sense to play against the computer in the beginning, but also to when you're deciding that you're going to learn the game, to approach it early in the morning. If you're at the infant stage, early in the morning, because the later you play, the more competitive the game becomes, and if you're not competitive, then there's no point in playing later on. you'll realize that like your reason for playing later on is so that you'll have more difficult competition, and you'll have it in more abundance because that's when the most amount of people will be playing. Most people don't know the pure approach to fighting. Most people don't understand like a lot of things about it, so they just go about like a regular video game. You sit there, you try to talk to them about it and stuff like that. They'll be sitting there like, "Yo, are you gonna play so I can just win? Because if you can't beat me, then it doesn't matter what you say." That's what I was talking to you about. This is just some of these people will be fighters. A lot of these people just don't have guidance. So this is kind of like a guide to the beginning stages. Play against the computer. And this is why you do this in the morning, because there's no point in you doing this in the afternoon. It'll use considerably more meter. Now, I guess a question could be made. Well, if you use more meter in the afternoon and you do this, wouldn't that make you a better player in the long run? Because you're basically trying harder. Wouldn't that make you a better player in the long run? Because at least that way you'll have exercised a better. You'll develop a stronger meter through exercising the meters under high stress. Wouldn't that give you more strength in pressure situations like tournaments or playing against someone in a player lobby, or maybe playing against someone in a ranked match? Wouldn't that make you better at that? The answer is no, because your ability to exercise your meter is going to be based on your ability to play and use meter. Is going to be of your ability, your experience with meter. Meter in and of itself is an entirely different fighting mechanic and fighting dynamic. And if you run out of all your meter, then you never know how to use it at all. You'll just basically go out there, you run out of all your meter. Once you run out of all your meter, it has to be restored. And you're not going to be able to restore your meter unless you either win or if you give the game a break. Or if you play against the computer and win, but you still have to win. So in the beginning, even if you have a massive meter, like I said, you're going to be using Eye of the Tiger. So this is called grinding. Now you can sit there and grind your way through. You can grind your way through the early stages, and this can make you into this can make you into an amateur player. This can even get you to the stage of semi-pro. But how well you're able to, like, what you actually know and stuff like that, those would be the type of people that will play against Inferno and still lose. Those would be the people that can't get gold medals for whatever reason. And if they do find a way to get a gold medal, it'll be based on like some sort of character selection or whatever. It'll just be some type of and this is what happens in the long run. When you just race down the track, when your objective is really, but these people, they play casinos and stuff like that. These people will be totally fine playing, this is the difference. This is what plateaus them. This is why they'll see like being a master as like maybe one day, but they're not really tripping off of it because they're happy where they're at. They're playing casinos. They play in bigger arcades. They play in bigger casinos in their mind when they play against more difficult players, and they lose those fights, and then they just go back to playing in their smaller casino. They see being a master as the Grand Royale. So that's how they view it. You, on the other hand, this is the reason why you're playing against a computer. and and the Grand Royale, that's just another casino. But you're learning everything at the Grand Royale. You learning everything at the Grand Royale, so you're learning everything like a professional. So you play against a computer, and you play against play in one of the most difficult settings, and then you get to your point where you can just cruise through it. That'll give you a nice little foundation to where now if you start losing, you have some actual basis other than your ego to reference it against. You're not going to be sitting here and like, oh, the net code. Even though that very maybe is oftentimes the case, you just won't be that way because you'll just have a more depth understanding of what's going on. Whereas if you didn't play against a computer, for example, you didn't know all these different mechanics, you'll sit here and blame these mechanics. And just from my assessment and from what I've seen, the mechanics in Soulcalibur 6, not that bad. I really like Soulcalibur 6 a lot. I thought 5 just kind of like, and we're going to play 5 too. Believe it or not, we're going to play 5. But 4 and 2 is basically where we're going right now. And arcade mode is kind of the stage that we're at. Legendary is the mode that you want to play. Playing against a computer at the most hardest difficulty is basically the milestone that you basically want to have set when you play against a computer, and that's basically how it goes. Over time, it'll become considerably less difficult, and this will be a pure indication of your improvement just throughout the whole entire system. And that's basically where you want to be at. Now everybody online right now, they're all like in legendary and S tier, and they're all trash. I'm just going to tell you what it is. But a lot of them are just like really hardcore fighters, and also a lot of them have Eye of the Tiger, as well as a lot of them know a lot about the game just through experience. So in order to deal with them, you're going to have to be able to have the experience up. This way you don't need so many variables going at the same time for your power influxes to take form, and so it doesn't use up nearly as much meter. But yeah, playing against the computer is just basically establishing the basic foundation and the basic foundation of just like how to play. I think that's a good way to explain it. The basic foundation of how to play. So Let me go ahead and get to this character select screen. Thinking like ahead. They have times, and those times you get medals. So we just got to get decorated. Become a decorated beginner. So we can learn as fast as possible when it counts. Alright. So, characters. Picking a main character. So, you just gotta, once you know who you are, you just look at these characters and you ask yourself, which one of these characters represents me the best? Like, if I was any of these characters, which one would I actually be? Not necessarily which one do you want to be, but which one are you really? And the person that you are is who your character is. So, for example, in real life, I am Siegfried. So, I'm gonna play as Siegfried. Now, I could play as Keelik also, because the Keelik is the protagonist too. Siegfried is also the protagonist. Siegfried is a dark protagonist, and Keelik is a good protagonist. So I can play Keelik just the same way as I can play Siegfried. So for this reason, I play both of these characters. I can play Nightmare just the same as I can play Siegfried. So for this reason, I play both of these characters. At least now. I never played Nightmare before, but now I'm playing as Nightmare. So now I can traverse these two characters. Now there are characters that have dualities. So you have Siegfried and Nightmare, and then you have Sophia and Cassandra. And I can also play dualities. So I always play. I'll always play. You always play the character that you are. So if I'm not the protagonist, so here they're the protagonist, right? This is a dark protagonist. So Siegfried and Nightmare is basically in the duality. The duality. The duality of Siegfried and Nightmare amount to a dark protagonist. So that's just what these two characters amount to. Is that Siegfried being a dark protagonist, and that Siegfried is, going to help people and stuff like that. However, Siegfried is always going to have this problem of Nightmare. So, and Nightmare is always going to wreak havoc and destruction. So it's like, he's a dark protagonist. That doesn't even sound like it makes the best sense, but that's just a little light explanation. Then you have Keelik. He's like the primary protagonist. So Keelik basically is like the Ryu of Soulcalibur. Keelik is basically the main character, the main hero of Soulcalibur. So there are a lot of heroes in Soulcalibur, but Keelik is one of them. Mitsurugi, on the other hand, is not a hero or a villain. Mitsurugi is extremely talented individual. So because Mitsurugi is so good, he's basically the person that involves himself in Soulcalibur in search of a challenge. And he also does so because he's in search of power. So he wants the Soul Blade. There's that aspect of it, and he's also so power hungry that he also uses this little red sword. Wow, something happened to this sword, and it's interesting because on Pinterest, I actually in my concept writing, I had the sword, and for whatever reason, I think the sword got deleted. I think the original creator of the image deleted it, and it's just interesting because I can't even find the sword here. But the sword is really central to Mitsurugi's, and maybe it has something to do with some sort of. Maybe I'm overreaching with this. It may have something to do with some sort of copyright of Mitsurugi as a character. But basically, this sword is like this red sword. It's like this flaming sword. And in fact, when Mitsurugi does his little special, whatever, the sword flames. So I guess it's assumed that, the sword that he's using is that sword. But yeah, basically what that sword does is it's this red katana, and what it does is it like consumes like the life force. If you don't actually kill people with it, then it'll consume the life force of the person that's wielding it. So, and what the katana does is it gives the wielder like this super power, and so that's basically what Mitsurugi is. So Mitsurugi is a super talented samurai, but then he's also using this sword, which like turbocharges him. So that's who Mitsurugi is. Sung Mina is the strongest warrior, and Sung Mina is Mongolian. So the thing about the Mongolian Empire in ancient times is the Mongolian Empire took over the world at one point. So Sung Mina is Mongolian. She's also the strongest warrior. And then also Sung Mina uses a spear. And one thing that you know about sword fighting, and one thing that you know about uh, one thing that you know about sword fighting, and one thing that you know about like ancient history and like weapons and stuff like that, is that the spear is the ultimate weapon, until you get into like things like firearms. But the ultimate like primitive weapon is a spear. The ultimate weapon in war is a spear, and that's how the Mongolians managed to take over the world when they did during the ancient wars, is because they were using spears. So Sung Mina uses a spear, and Sung Mina is Mongolian, and Sung Mina is also the strongest warrior. So that's basically what puts Sung Mina in Soulcalibur. And if you play Sung Mina, you realize that's basically the way the character plays in this game, which is cool. Like, one thing about this Soulcalibur 6 that they did really well was they really got the characters in order in terms of like how they're supposed to be. With that said, Soulcalibur 4 it still has a really good balance to it. But anyways, that's basically what Sung Mina is. So Sung Mina is a Mongolian spearman. Voldo is basically a dark circus hellion, and he uses scissor hands, and he's basically a freak. So that is basically his entire character, and that's who he is. Then you have Ivy. Ivy is a dominatrix, and Ivy is the daughter of Cervantes, and Cervantes is the original holder of the Soul Blade. So there's the Soul Blade, the Soulcalibur, and then there's a Soul Edge. The Soul Edge is a fragment of the Soul Blade. And what the Soul Edge does is it creates what seems is basically nightmare. By itself, it makes nightmare. So just like a fragment of the Soul Blade, it is what ended up making nightmare. And the one gap in this story is kind of like Keelik and this whole Malfested thing storyline they have going. To where they kind of have this storyline to where, I don't know, I guess it gave them a premise to make enemies out of. I don't know, but this is basically what it is. So a fragment of Soul Blade made nightmare, and Soul Blade is, here it is. So this is Soul Edge. So Soul Edge is basically the sword. So Soul Edge is a fragment of Soul Blade. Soul Blade and Soul Edge look the same, or they're made in the same fashion. They're basically, it's basically like a sword of like flesh and bone, and it typically has some type of like mouth Like it has it has a mouth that like it eats, that it uses to eat souls. So that's basically what Soul Blade is. A fragment of Soul Blade existed throughout the universe, and what it did was it made Soul Edge. And what Soul Edge does is Soul Edge by its and when it's on its own is just the sword. It's flesh and bone and some sort of soul eating jaw. And it's also tied to a blade. Now, what Soul Edge can do is Soul Edge can also can also extend itself and create an entire being, and in this case, it's Nightmare. So, and this is basically Soul Edge by itself. It creates Nightmare from itself, and Nightmare is created out of souls. So the more souls Nightmare gets, the stronger he gets. Until he gets into like basically the form that you deal with him here, and this is basically like him at his maximum level, or whatever. And it's Soul Edge by itself. So at one point Nightmare was Siegfried, but see the thing about Siegfried is Siegfried was basically the first one to hold on to Soul Edge. So because Siegfried held on to Soul Edge, his body was taken over and he basically became Nightmare. Once he was broken from Soul Edge, his body was fragmented, and the blade never lost track of Siegfried's architecture, because that's the architecture that the blade manifests itself with. Because the blade is basically it's a symbiotic, or it's a parasitic, symbiotic somewhat. So it's kind of like it's kind of like Venom in Spider-Man. So that's basically what happened when it basically connected with Siegfried. Was it just basically established a form in which it can wreak havoc and destruction on the world. And like conquer the world in its most desired fashion, because the sword is truly like dark and in nature. What it will do is it will corrupt whoever wields it, and it will through corrupting whoever wields it, it will basically seduce the person that wields it into consuming other people's souls in order to possess power. And this is literally just a fragment of Soul Blade. So Ivy, Cervantes was the man that found Soul Blade and wreaked havoc on the world for a short period of time in the original game, which was Soul Blade, and then after Soul Blade, and then Soul Blade 1, and then Soul Blade 2. Or there was it Soul Blade and then Soulcalibur. So in Soul Blade 1 and 2, the first two games, which is basically Soul Blade and Soulcalibur, Cervantes was the primary antagonist. Cervantes held on to, he found the Soul Blade achieved like all these different powers. One of the powers this dude achieved was immortality. He achieved the ability to teleport. You know, he went down into hell, and you know, he learned like all this stuff about like Hellion and all that. He just learned all this crazy stuff. You know, this man, he ended up selling his soul because he wanted to sustain power. And then He wanted to try to conquer the world. And what happened was Cassandra, he ended up fighting against Cassandra and lost. And when he lost, Cassandra destroyed the Soul Blade and destroyed the Soul Blade with the Soulcalibur. And because the Soul Blade was destroyed with the Soulcalibur, the only part that there was like a fragment of it that survived, and that's what made the Soul Edge. And so in Soulcalibur, what happened? What Cassandra did was after breaking the Soul Blade with the Soulcalibur, what Cassandra did was took the Soulcalibur and placed it in the she placed it in like this place in Mount Olympus. So like there's like this place in Mount Olympus called like the something of time, like the castle of time or something like that. Like there's this place in Mount Olympus. It's like it's in the astral field of Mount Olympus, and it's like a cathedral of like time or something like that. And so in this place, there's like there's just like different treasure and stuff like that. And so one of the treasures is the Soulcalibur, and what the Soulcalibur does is it just like embodies like power of light. So Cassandra put the Soulcalibur in this place, which is eluding me, but it's in the concept writing. You can see it there. She puts the Soulcalibur in this place, and then so in Soulcalibur 4, I'll just speed up through it because Soulcalibur 3, I'm not hip to that. I think they started doing some weird time stuff, and that's just what happened. Then you have Soulcalibur 2. So in Soulcalibur 2, what basically happened was that one fragment, Siegfried discovered that fragment. And what happens in Soulcalibur 2 is Siegfried struggles with the power, because what happens is the Soul Edge, it gives you so much power. So Siegfried gets so much power in Soulcalibur 2 that he slowly becomes a monster because he ends up finding ways to like kill people, and he slowly becomes a monster, and so he gets caught up in that that power struggle. And what ends up happening is, by the time you get to Soulcalibur 4, Siegfried and Nightmare are completely separate. And so basically the Soul Edge has basically used the information it knows about Siegfried to sort of manifest itself, and it just basically wreaks havoc on the world by using Siegfried's skills and ability as well as its immense power. And it can just use that alone to rain hell, to take souls. So he'll just sit there and just take all these souls and just achieve superpower. So what happened was, at this point, Siegfried realizes all this stuff that's going on, and then finds out how the Soul Edge once existed or whatever, and they get to give this man the Soulcalibur. So once this guy gets the Soulcalibur, this is the same thing that Cassandra used. He uses the Soulcalibur to defeat Soul Edge. So Soulcalibur 6 is after that. So here you go again. Here's Soul Edge right here. So Soul Edge just manages to live. It's almost, I guess maybe because so much of the sword is symbiotic. I mean, this is just like theory and canon, but like maybe the sword is so symbiotic, but really what it is it's a part of the RPG universe, and it's just an element of the universe that's just basically villainous. It's just something that, if given the opportunity, will always manifest into Nightmare. It's just the ability of a being to of achieving power through accepting darkness. So it's just basically the manifestation of that, and the manifestation of that is nightmare. So the sword always finds a way to develop because of the wielder of the whatever it is will always establish power, some type of power through it. So, and then the power will be corrupting, and then through the corruption, the souls can be taken, and then through the all the souls being taken, this is what makes nightmare. So that's that. Um, and so Ivy is the daughter of this person that's been corrupted by all this stuff. But Ivy is kind of like surrogate, so she's like a surrogate daughter, and growing up just developed into being a dominatrix, but through just being the daughter of this person, Ivy also is immortal. So there's that. And I think in this one, I think I'll just end on like Astroth, and I'll save the rest of the stories for another episode. Astroth Astroth is a berserker, and berserkers are basically tools of Athens to like rain destruction on the world. And basically they use them to rain destruction and to protect things. So berserkers, one of the other berserkers was this character called Astroth, and that was the character used in the clock tower. So there's Astroth and then there's Astroth, and these are all berserkers, and they're sent by Athens to reign terror. Berserkers are juggernauts. They're juggernauts, and Astroth is a juggernaut. Um, he's put in place to rain havoc on people, and he's also an antagonist. The way that he coincides with the Soul Blade is he has an interest of acquiring it, so that he can achieve ultimate power. And it could be considered that Athens determined that they are just going to use Astroth as a way of getting power over the soul edge. It's because the thing is, nobody can really control soul edge. So it's like you can store soul edge, but you can't really control it. So if they send a berserker down there to acquire it, this is just more like reaching theory. If you use a berserker to get it, then you can kind of have control over it to some capacity, and I guess you can control the berserker to continue on. So I guess to continue to rain tragedy wherever you feel. So that could be a theory. Here's the thing, and this is the reason why you can kind of go far with these understandings and theories, is because Soulcalibur is rooted in Greek mythology. It's rooted in Greek mythology, folklore, and fairy tales. So ultimately, what that amounts to is it's a big RPG. It's ultimately like Dungeons and Dragons. So you can really think these things through, and these really be the case, because these characters really are these heroes, and these characters really are these things. So the way that Astroth really is a character throughout like folklore, spirituality, and stuff like that. And so if you know what Astroth means in regards to the whole like hell elements and stuff like that, then you can understand basically how Astroth is a berserker. So yeah, he's a berserker. And so the thing about berserkers is berserkers basically are like invincible. Uh, they have, except they have Achilles. They have some type of Achilles heel, or they have to just, the only way, they're basically invincible. And the more that they win, the more they win, the more invincible they become. Like the faster you lose. So what will happen with like a berserker is if you kind of like let your foot off the gas, and someone understands how to play as a berserker, then if they get momentum on you, they'll just be able to rapidly just like get you out of there. It's almost like you get trampled, you get rampaged over, and that's basically how a berserker fights. A berserker fights on a rampage. So it'll seem as if you're fighting against what is the name of that person? Inferno. So that's basically what Astroth is. He's the berserker, and he goes for the soul blade or whatever. That's how that works. Keelik is the ultimate protagonist. Keelik is the Monkey King. The Monkey King is the greatest fighter of all time. And for that reason, Keelik is Edge Master. Now, Soulcalibur leaves the Monkey King out of Soulcalibur because the thing about it is that the Monkey King is just overpowered to the point where it has no real place in any other ethos besides its own. So what they have is they have Keelik, and then they have Keelik's son, which is Zyba, which more reflects the Monkey King. But here, Keelik also does things that the Monkey King does. When Keelik transforms, everything that the transformation is like all this superhuman power stuff. That's all like Monkey King stuff. And the Monkey King also does use a staff. The Monkey King also does transform. I think even the Monkey King is a part of like some of the core writing of like Goku and Dragon Ball Z and the whole Super Saiyan ability. So that's basically what happens to Keelik. So his ultimate destiny is to become Edge Master. Edge Master, for whatever reason, isn't in this game. Edge Master basically is basically the master swordsman of the universe, and Edge Master is basically like Mokujin. He can fight with every single style. So that's basically what Keelik eventually becomes. But that's basically Keelik's overall situation. So Zhanghua is Keelik's companion. Keelik, and also Keelik's support. But that's just how much of a protagonist Keelik is. That's just how much of a big destiny he has. As far as like the soul blade and like Keelik's ability to overcome that, though their destinies do not necessarily align, but they don't necessarily not collide. So that's the situation with that. I can't really speak too much on Zazamel. Zazamel is a part of the universe. Zazamel is somewhat of an install. Um, Zazamel is somewhat also of a bridge, because all that stuff that Zazamel did with time and stuff like that, it really did a good job at making premise for like the RPG elements. Because after Zazamel was included in Soulcalibur, you saw a lot more, I believe, more of the RPG elements, where like the swords and stuff like that were really important, and the swords and stuff like that are important. because Zazamel makes way for like shifting the universe and like the Tower of Remembrance and stuff like that. Because see, the thing about it is Nightmare and the Tower of Souls. The Tower of Souls is made on nothing but like death and stuff like that. So it's like with Zazamel in the picture, it's like he can like go through time and whatever. He just establishes that RPG timeline. So he's kind of like an anchor. He's an anchor of Soulcalibur and what it's and how it stands. Characters like 2B and also characters like Darth Vader, they managed to find their way into the universe, into the RPG universe, and so that's basically how they find their way into Soulcalibur. Talon is a support character of any protagonist. Of all the protagonists, Talon is a support character, as well as Maxi. Maxi and Talon are support characters, just like Zhang Hua is a support character. Interesting thing about these characters being support characters is that they're still really strong characters. And one thing that's kind of annoying about Soulcalibur 6 is, see, at first you could just ignore them, but the way that Soulcalibur 6 is balanced, now you can't ignore them. You gotta really figure out what they're doing. Like at first you just be able to ignore them, but they like, for example, they gave Maxi so much range. Same thing with Talon. Talon got so much range. However, these are still support characters. And that's basically it for this one. I don't want to really have to, explain too many more. If you identify with these characters, then, they will more than likely be the character for you. You just got to figure out, how do you feel about life? Are you a freak, hellion? Then in that case, you might want to play Voldo. Are you a berserker that's almost like an almost invincible gladiator? Then you will play Astrov. Are you the one that triumphed over Soul Blade? The victor of the past time? Then you'll play Cassandra. Are you the dark lost protagonist? Then you play Siegfried. So are you the hardcore gamer who realized the pinnacle of competitive gaming? Then you play Mitsurugi. And if you take that approach, then you'll find that you'll excel very fast in the early stages. Otherwise, in order for you to break through high thresholds, aside from just being able to play video games, you would have to be able to translate the ultimate identity of a character, and then basically do, like, if you, I mean, you're gonna have to figure, I mean, like, if you don't, like, these are spears. Now, a person will sit there and not value and not credit something like that as valuable and look at it as like over analysis or whatever, but this holds true no matter how you translate fighting games, no matter how you explain fighting games. One thing you will notice now is nowadays, I saw a thumbnail about this, a lot of these players do not even have main characters. They'll play anybody. And the reason being is because they should probably be playing Mitsurugi. They should probably be playing Mitsurugi because any other thing it would be either work for them or against them. They play these other characters that are not as that are not as that don't provide as much feedback, and they're putting themselves at a disadvantage based on that alone. And a person will know this based on how much these things coincide with who they are and where they're at. A person that's really playing games is going to that coincides more with Mitsurugi's background of being someone who's just really talented and in search of power. This is really kind of this is the same. Are you, in that same regard, are you a fighting game veteran? To where you play across multiple platforms? And you also gamed then Sung Mina as being the strongest warrior. You're an online warrior. You play Sung Mina. If you really are an online warrior, let me tell you something. These online warriors win. So I mean, if this is what your core element is, so that's how you determine. That's how you narrow down, main characters. Tier lists and stuff like that. Those are for video game players. Purists, you got to figure out who you are in this story, in this tale of histories, in this tale of swords and history. So yeah, in the next one, I'm gonna go through the characters a little bit more, maybe, and explaining the background of them, like in this one, and if you would like to get a real deeper understanding of like character backgrounds, understanding more about them, you can check out my concept writing where a lot of that canon is present, and you can find that on Pinterest, and there's a link in the description of that. With that said, that's my time on this one, and With that said, that's my time on this one.